Peter Costello, and I do find this, look, Peter Costello, obviously a fantastic treasurer, but long out of government, and his circumstances were the river of good times as opposed to the river of bad times, right, through the mining boom.
Hey, you don't forget, when the Howard government was first elected, there was a huge Asian collapse.
Yes, true.
And we came through that in a pretty steady manner.
But I'm just saying is that there is a little thing that happens after every budget, which is generally speaking a week and a bit later, Peter Costello tells us thumbs up or thumbs down. He says absolutely inflationary. Basically, every opinion poll says that those who think that their life is really going to be changed by it was 4/5 of bugger all. But now we learn that we're just going to basically, I think they made a whole bunch of decisions which were about giving them a slogan for an election, whenever it would be, about every household and every taxpayer. But if Costello is telling us that it's inflationary, the consequences of that are interest rates up, whereas the Prime Minister is holding on for dear life that interest rates go down, so they can turn around and say, look, you've gone from Ribena purple to slightly mauve. Vote for us.
But that's why I say there'll be an early election, because Snake Charmer, the Treasurer, has said, oh, well, this is anti-inflationary, this budget, and therefore there's going to be a rate cut. And I know better than the Reserve Bank, who says there may be a rate rise. So is he going to want to play Russian roulette and get tested? Not on your Nelly. Already, I can see it. I know what happens in the party room. I know what happens when a leader starts to fail, as Albo is failing. They get restless. They see their seats, they look at them. Am I going to get re-elected? Is this going to be, am I going to have to pay the price? And they start to get really restless. And Chalmers is over there. He thinks he's the God-given solution to reinventing capitalism and having a whole different thing. It's going to get very tricky for them. There are so many reasons why it's going to go early. It doesn't matter what you told Albo to say. It doesn't matter at all. The fact of the matter is...
So your theory is that Jim Chalmers is going to force Albo to go to an early election so he'll lose and Chalmers can take over the leadership? Is that the theory?
I wouldn't go so far as to make the final conclusion. But
and Albo's such a spring chicken, he'd never see that coming. I mean, it's not like he's got a history in politics.
It's not a bad conclusion.
Do you think they're going to go to an election before the Queensland state election so that every voter in Queensland...
Queensland state election matters a row of beans.
You don't think?
No.
You don't think that they're just going to line up and belt the bejesus out of him after they struggled to do well as they should have in Queensland?
Right now in the opinion polls, the only place Dutton's preferred Prime Minister is Queensland.
It would be a suicide note. Everyone keeps saying this is the Albanese government. It's an absolute nadir, and that's why he's going to call an election. He's lower than he's ever been before, and that's why he's going to march to the polls. It's insane. They are going to go the distance.
The tax cuts in the budget aren't going to last till next May.
No, that's right. He's not relying on the tax cuts. He's relying on interest rates coming down. And when interest rates come down, or if interest rates come down, which everyone is predicting will happen in the first half.
Broken the back, will he? And everything will be lovely.
Then in the first half of next year, he can say, look, the worst is over. We got you through it. Things are looking better.
You're saying he's going to go to August, are you?
No, the first half of next year.
Oh, the first half.
August is in the second half of next year.
He's going past May, then.
The first 5 months.
All right.
I don't think so, Joe.
Now,
the only thing you and I agree on is the Salvation Army.
Well, the Salvation Army is magnificent, and they love Albo. They love him. He's a strong supporter.
Don't put those words in their mouth. But anyway, he's the Prime Minister.
I'm extremely grateful.
I'll be up there collecting on the weekend, and I won't have the Salvation Army defamed in that manner.
You should just knock on Albo's door and he'll pop in a pineapple for you.
Well, maybe you could go to one of the rental properties that he owns and the bloke is about to boot. But, that's a nothing story.
The bloke who saved $50,000. Honestly, oh my God, my landlord charged me half the market rate on a 3-bedroom townhouse I'm living in on my own. Oh, the humanity.
No, it does make perfect sense that you brief against your tenant to the Australian media. But anyway, let's get so because he crossed the PM, I wish him well, and here it goes, boom, boom, boom. That's like that lady who's never been heard of again, after calling the Prime Minister out at the women's rally for the crying and all the rest. Never heard of again.
Yeah, because they realised that they totally
wish them well.
Because they were making stuff up, and the camera showed they were
the video showed her crying too, right? Remember that tape is there as well.
Anyone can cry. It's like, oh my God, Peter Dutton's going to kill me.
We still don't know
That's the easy part.
what is the change in the Prime Minister's circumstance that he needs to sell
Oh,
a house.
That's a bit personal, isn't it, Bronwyn?
I think it's quite.
I think it's been in the papers.
No. He
All right.
says, well, he's getting married. I don't know if I missed that.
Now,
That's to pay for the wedding.
No, it's a change in circumstances.
it's rubbish. Okay, let's talk about something that all of us in one version or another have spoken about with people, or people say, "Hey, can you find a way to start talking about this on the telly?" The worry people have for their kids and their grandkids financially, right? About how they're going to get into a house, how they're going to get into a position to be able to earn a house. Basically, are you in the world that's lucky enough to be inheriting something eventually, or the people who never bought a house, and how you end up in that hole? This, yes, does drive, and certainly for the younger voters, it's going to drive them further to the hard left in terms of voting. But what does this country have to actually do to start to give those opportunities to break out of the circumstances that were your parents in order to be able to supersede their financial structures?
Okay, let's look at the things that have changed. If you go back to the post-war period, the people who were responsible for providing sewerage, water, electricity, gas, curbing and guttering roads was the government.
Yes.
And then these things changed. Now it's the developer who's responsible for that. And all of that is built into the cost of the land. And when we talk about the difficulty of buying houses, what we're really talking about is land. And they're not making any of that anymore.
Yeah.
It's a limited supply. We haven't decentralised in the way that there was a great hope we would decentralise, except in Queensland. They're a decentralised state. But the thing is that 2/3 of the population are affected by high interest rates because it affects mortgage holders and renters,
Correct.
both
Correct.
in the same way. So they're all hurting. But if you also look at that generation, they're going to inherit the wealth that comes from the baby boomer generation. And in the meantime, that generation is still helping kids with deposits, with paying expenses, with school fees, with a whole range of things. The bank of mum and dad is very real. The kids who miss out are the ones where the parents get divorced and there's a new bride and they take the dough.
That's
They're
interesting.
the ones who miss out.
That's interesting.
So when you're looking at how do you enable people to get access to enough deposit to be able to get a loan from the bank, then Peter Dutton's policy of saying you can have access to your foregone wages, it's your money which has been taken, and you can have access to that to buy yourself a home, which is the best thing you can have in retirement, because you have a guarantee of a roof over your head.
Yeah, I'm hard up against the chat we're about to have with Megan, but your thoughts on this, Joe? Because it's something we're going to have to bring back.
Yeah,
at a
I think
much
ripping
more
into your
detailed
super is absolutely insane. I think that the biggest problem is simply it's simply capitalism. It's supply and demand. There is too much demand, not enough supply.
And that's immigration.
No, because
That's why it's got to come
half the
down.
reason why there's not enough supply is because there was no immigration during the COVID lockdowns. So everyone stopped building it. Yes, that is absolutely so. That is absolutely so. And what you've got to do, you've got to free up the land. You've got to decentralise, and you've got to get more people living in the region of the bush. You've got to make that more attractive to people. You've also got to make sure that people are prepared to cop medium density around transport hubs, and that you don't have NIMBYs just jumping up and down saying, "Oh yes, I support more housing, but not in my street. What about the parking?" And you've got to have people who are willing to build it, and it's as simple as that. And if people don't think there's going to be a buck in it, then they're not going to build it.
An even tougher conversation than tax concessions and all the rest of it, downsizing. Put it on the table for a chat in a few weeks' time. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bronwyn. Thank you, Joe. I think
my
this will be
friends.
fun.